Right, we are delighted to be joined by Mr. Amitabh Kant, India's G20 chairman and former CEO, Niti Aayog, joining us now. Mr. Amitabh Kant, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Kant, the Prime Minister has hailed this budget as a forward-looking one which will generate a lot of employment. How do you assess this budget, which seemed to be a little low on big-ticket announcements?
Yeah, but this is a very responsible and a prudent budget for very complex times. We are in the midst of geopolitical disruption. We are in the midst of breakdown of global supply chains. We are in the midst of emergence of new technology. The world is going through the kind of disruption which has never before happened in the history of the world. And therefore, at this time, to ensure that there is fiscal consolidation, the fiscal deficit comes down, to ensure that the debt to GDP ratio is brought down, to ensure that the Capex spend goes up to 12.2 lakh crores and is effectively about 4.4% of your total GDP, is, to my mind, a sign of a very, very responsible and prudent budget, because the budget lays a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, on manufacturing, and on cutting-edge areas of growth.
Right. But Mr. Kant, we do need some of those big-ticket announcements, particularly since budget is seen as a platform. Now, the government is doing a lot of things.
So I think
we've got good growth, we've got low inflation, but we have the rupee at 92, and foreign outflows are coming in. The growth that we have should be a magnet for foreign investment coming through. That's not working. Short-term flows are going out, and we're doing nothing to stem that.
So I think two things. One is that there is a big ticket announcement. I think the biggest and the smartest move in this budget is to provide tax exemption for data centers till 2047. 75% of the total investment in the world taking place today is in artificial intelligence and data centers. India has both data sets, and India has the talent, and if you are able to ensure that data centers are put up here, then you will be the champion of cloud, of AI, and of data centers of the future. So I think that, to my mind, is a big ticket, smart announcement. But on the other issue of investments, etc., you need predictability and consistency of policy over a long period of time, and not in totality, but if you look at it, individual piece decisions, if you look at the announcement for reform of FEMA, which is the non-debt instrument rules, if you look at the customs reforms, which the finance minister has said will be trust-based, if you look at the rationalization of duties, and if you look at the financial sector reforms of which a high-level committee has been constituted, and if you look at the implementation of the new Income Tax Act, which will come into effect from 1st April, in totality, all these things together will help making India easy, simple, predictable, and consistent over a long period of time.
Right. So, but in the short term, you want to do something, right? Because the rupee is weak. And while that benefits exporters, some people then worry about the the current account number as well. So, we want long-term predictability in our regulation and our frameworks. But in the short term, some stops can be given to, because the global situation is such, if the differential between earnings for a foreign investor between a developed market and India is going to go down because of the currency depreciation, that will repel capital.
So all the countries which grew for a long period of time, Japan, Korea, China, all of them had weak currencies for long periods of time when they were growing and expanding. None of them had strong currencies. Currency depreciation was a very critical component of their growth process. A strong currency doesn't mean that you have a muscular economic policy. I think also the rupee is weak because the dollar is strengthening. The dollar is very strong, and dollar is strong, and therefore you look at it relative to dollar. So my view on that is that let's not get carried away. There are structural issues in the world. There are global complexities. and the currency behaves on account of global factors. Any amount of impetus to rupee in the budget would not help, to my mind.
Right. Mr. Kant, the Prime Minister has hailed this budget to be one that will create a lot of employment. Now, if you have a lot of tax incentives for data centers, and they do come up earnestly in our country over the next few years, it will create, employment for high-skilled STEM workers. But some people, like some of our analysts here and experts here, have said that that's not how Bharat works. Bharat needs different kind of employment. Do you think both needs will be fulfilled by this budget? The employment for Bharat and the employment for India?
No, jobs are critical. You can't have growth without jobs, and therefore the budget lays emphasis on textiles. It lays emphasis on footwear and leather. It lays emphasis on marine sector. It lays emphasis on MSME sector, where it talks about 10,000. It talks about champions MSME, puts an allocation of 10,000 crore for MSME growth fund. It talks about strengthening trade. In fact, it mandates it for the public sector undertaking. It talks about credit guarantee mechanisms linked to GEM. It talks about asset-based security for MSMEs, which will ensure adequate liquidity for them. So all these are important, but my view is that in the long run, jobs are created by growth, they are created by manufacturing, they are created by good urbanization. And cities, when you have 5,000 crore per city being put in for economic region for tier 2, tier 3 cities, that will create jobs. If you bring in new 7 high-speed rail corridors to act as growth connectors, that means you'll actually urbanize the entire area between these two cities. So all that is important. You need to look at the budget in its totality, and then you'll realize that this budget is actually about growth with job creation.
So, plus there are some tax incentive for imports of bioenergy as well. What do you make of how the government is looking at, circular economy and climate change?
So India is actually one of the few countries which has done a lot of renewable. It's done about 260 gigawatt of renewable. It has one grid across the economy, but it needs to leapfrog, and therefore it is looking at new technologies. It's pushed for green hydrogen. It has a green hydrogen mission, and now in this budget it pushes for nuclear power. It pushes for lithium-ion cell. It pushes for critical mineral processing, and the 4 corridors for critical mineral, but more important, it pushes for CCUS. Now, CCUS is still in its formative stages. Its viability has to be established, and therefore government support will be required in the initial years, much like we've done for green hydrogen. We'll have to do it for CCUS. But carbon capture in the long run is what India should push for. That will help India accelerate the process of growth with sustainability.
Right. Sir, we've seen a lot of reform coming through in the taxation regime. The new Income Tax Act will go on the floors from the 1st of April this year. GST also, we've seen some consolidation in the slabs coming through, some relief also coming through. Now, there was some announcement in the customs duty side where there was tweaking in the duties on different sectors and goods. Are you expecting more reform in the customs duty side, or do you think it will largely be compliance, procedural, and is that enough, or do you think the slab should also get rationalized?
No, they have talked about trust-based customs reform, but they should have slashed the slabs into 3, from 8 into 3. My view is that there should have been much more greater level of simplification announced in the customs. They should have done away with a lot of tariffs, and they should have rationalized the duty, but all this has been announced. They've also put up a financial sector reforms high-level committee, which hopefully should make more liquidity available and would reduce not merely the high-level committee should push for lower statutory liquidity ratio in India. It should also push for greater level of bank privatization. My belief is that you need more private banks, you need more insurance companies to be privatized, you need more private private credit to GDP ratio should go up. Government debt is high, but private debt is low. So it should be the reverse in India. The government debt should come down and the private debt should go up if India has to grow at 8 to 9% over a long period of time.
Sir, could you talk to us in a little more detail about the financial sector? Because in the budget, a high-level committee for Viksit Bharat for banks has been announced. There are some incentives for municipal bonds. You get an incentive of 100 crores for every single bond issuance of more than 1,000 crores. And how to deepen the corporate bond market. Something about total return swaps also coming through. So what do you make of this? And when it comes to banking for Viksit Bharat, what change needs to happen?
No, so my view on that is very clear that you need more credit in the hands of private sector. You need more animal spirit to be revived. And you need India to grow on the back of private sector. So government has done its bit by putting in a lot of resources into public investment. It's the private sector investment which is the key to growth. That means greater capacity utilization, greater consumption demand, and greater investments by the private sector. You can't grow at 8 to 9% on the back of government. You need to do it on the back of private sector. That is the key.
Right. Mr. Kant, there is expectedly some criticism coming in from opposition parties, the Congress party saying that this is not a broad-based budget impacting the Aam Aadmi. This only focuses on particular sectors. So would you like to say something to this kind of opinion coming in on the budget?
I think they should realize that these are very complex times. You need to grow with equity. You need fiscal responsibility. You need prudence. You need the finance minister to be very, very responsible, which he has been. You need to focus on infrastructure. You need to be steady as far as infrastructure and manufacturing is concerned, which is what this budget is all about.
Right. Mr. Amitabh Kant, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about the budget presented this year and what you feel will help continue with the momentum of growth that we're seeing in the country and what role this budget will play there. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.